All right. Hey, this is going to be one of two videos that I'm going to make for the 2020 exam with some updates as of April 30th. And so the first one is going to be related to the exam format, and most of this information will be review, but I want to make sure that everyone is on the same page about what the 2020 AP exam will look like, when it is, exactly what time it is. And so for those of you guys who have been coming to the webinars, for those of you guys who have really paid attention to some of the other information I've been giving you and you've read through some things, this is going to be a review. This may even be something that you don't need to watch very closely, but there will just be a couple of key things that I am going to, that are a little bit of changes, and I'm going to give you a little more information about what is going to be allowed in terms of the open notes exam, and then what is not going to be allowed. All right, so just to make sure that we're all on the same page, the AP Human Geography exam will be taken at home. It is going to be on May 12th, Tuesday, May 12th, which is just under 2 weeks now. And you are going to take the exam at 3 p.m. Everything is based on Eastern time. So the Eastern time zone time is 2 p.m. We will be taking it in, sorry, that's not true. The Eastern time zone time is 4 p.m. We will be taking it at 3 p.m. In the afternoon of Tuesday, May 12th. You will need to log in at least half an hour before to access the online testing system and to get it set up. So that is what they are telling you to do. That's what I expect you guys to do. So 2:30 is kind of your go time in terms of getting prepared for the AP exam. What do you need to take the AP exam? You will need, you will need a device. I am going to suggest that you use a device that is the most comfortable for when you are going to be taking it. So most likely your Chromebook, if that is what you use to do most of your schoolwork and most of your typing. If you have if you have a family computer that you are more comfortable with, that is fine as well. But you may also use a mobile device. You may also use an iPad. However, I am not suggesting that you use either of those just due to the fact that you will be typing this year's exam. Now, as a caveat, however, you can handwrite your AP exam. If you are more comfortable with handwriting options, that is an option. However, I don't know if it's necessarily going to be the most efficient option, so I'm going to encourage you to type your FRQs, your written responses. But if that is something that you are not comfortable with and you really think that doing it by hand, that is an option. You would be taking pictures of your written response and you would be uploading them then to the testing platform. Okay, so the format of the AP exam is going to be 2 free response questions. We do have a little more information about these now, and so I'm going to go over those on the next slide. But the first question is going to be you're going to get 25 minutes to respond, and you're going to get 2 stimuli in that first question. This is going to account for about 55% of your exam score. And then the second question will also be a free response question. 15 minutes, 1 stimuli, so 1 map, 1 picture, 1 data graph, whatever it is. That'll be 45% of your exam. There will be absolutely no multiple choice questions, and there will be just 2 free response questions that we have been practicing all year. So when we talk about a stimulus, what is a stimuli? Examples of stimuli would be things like maps. Or an image, or a picture, or data, a population pyramid, something that is going to be related to human geography. We have been working with a lot of those in those webinars that we've been doing. So you've gotten lots of practice, and we're going to get some more practice in the upcoming week with stimulus. So we know for sure that the FRQ will not be just questions. There will be some sort of stimulus that you will be using for at least 1 or 2 of the questions that you're going to be getting. Sometimes you'll have questions that don't really relate to the stimulus directly, but the topic will be focused on that stimulus, and some of the questions you will have to interpret the data or whatever it is. Units that are going to be assessed are units 1 through 5. They are listed here. We have taken 1 whole week for each unit to review, so you should be good, and you have all the information in your distance learning folders in terms of vocabulary, in terms of the videos I've been creating, in terms of the PowerPoints, review PowerPoints. Everything that you need for these units are there, as well as on the on Schoology, you have our unit folders for every single one of these units. So you may have noticed I've copy and pasted the folders, and so there's a whole bunch of information. But I have tried to pare it down a little bit and give you just what you need to know in those distance learning folders. So week 1 applies to unit 1, week 4 applies to unit 4, so on and so forth. You're going to be asked to use authentic real-world situations to describe, explain, and apply and compare concepts, processes, and models. You're going to be analyzing patterns, relationships, outcomes, and results. So here's a little bit more specific information. This is a little bit of a review, but this is now what they've kind of come out and exactly said. Question 1, your first question will be 2 stimulus. So you'll either have 2 maps, 2 pictures, 2 data sets, or a map and a picture, whatever it may be. And you are going to, this question is going to have fewer tasks than a traditional FRQ. Now, a traditional FRQ had 7 parts to it. So it was A through, G. So in both of the questions, you're going to have less than 7 parts. Now, they haven't said if that means 6 parts or 5 parts or whatever, but you're going to get 25 minutes to work on this question. Then you're going to get 5 minutes to upload it. Then question 2 will be a 1 stimulus question, and it's going to have fewer tasks. Most likely, because you only have 15 minutes to work on this one, you're going to probably get less tasks than in question 1. But once again, they have not said what that looks like exactly. We just know it's going to be less than 7. And then for both of the questions, student will not be asked to provide basic definitions for any term. So yes, it's important to know your definitions of AP Human Geography terms. And yes, you might want to prepare some of the more difficult terms on a potential study sheet, which we'll talk about in a minute. However, you will not be granted points for just giving basic definitions. Regurgitating information will not be part of this exam. Rather, the question will focus on geographic concepts, processes, and models, and how they interrelate and apply to the scenario given in the prompt. So you will need to apply your knowledge to a particular situation, to a particular country, to a particular process that you are noticing, interpret data. So yes, if the question asks about devolution and you give the definition of devolution, you will not get any points for that because that's not what they're going to ask you. These are things that are way too easily Googleable. It's not a word, but you know what I mean. All right. So the test is open notes. This is what they mean by that. So here are things that are permitted. Class notes created by the student. Class resources provided by teachers. Previous assignments or assessments returned by teachers. Okay, so you can create your own notes and you can use them on the exam. I could create a note sheet for you and I could provide that to you and you could access that during the exam as long as you're the only one that has access to it at that particular time. You could use an old assignment or an old assessment, test, FRQ, returned by the teacher. Okay, so here is what I am going to suggest that you do. I am going to suggest that you create some notes, maybe 1 page per unit, that has more difficult concepts on that you have struggled with. You should not be entirely relying on your notes for the test. If you just copy and paste material into a document without thinking about it, without looking at it, that is not going to be helpful. The purpose of creating a class note sheet is that you are working with the material, that you are writing it yourself, that you are trying to understand it, but then you know it's there for you in case you need it. I am not going to be creating note sheets for you for units. Those are not going to be helpful. You're not going to have enough time to read through my note sheets in the actual test. However, I am going to provide to you some kind of little quick, I guess like a little cheat sheet about what does it mean to describe, explain, compare, and some other common prompts. So I will be providing that to you. But I am going to suggest that you create a single page for each unit of things that you have pulled out as more difficult things or topics. This is going to make it so that you know exactly where those notes are. If you've just copy and pasted a bunch of random stuff from the internet or from my slides onto a note sheet, that's not going to be helpful. You are not going to have the time to access that, or you're not going to have the time to really think through what those things actually mean during the test. But if you have gone through the material, if you have created that from what I have given you, your vocabulary list, your review videos, whatever it may be, that will be helpful. Students are welcome to store and access these notes in the following places: your personal or school email, so you can access your email during the test; the digital classroom site, meaning Schoology, or what your Google Docs, whatever. Online storage is accessible only by the student, however. So if you have a shared document, let's say you and your friend are working on some key things for Unit 4 together, because you really struggle with political geography and you have a shared Google Doc. Before the test, you need to make a copy of that Google Doc that is only yours, and that is the only thing you should be using. You do not use the shared Google Doc. That could be misconstrued, and that could be construed as cheating. Okay, moving on. This is what is not permitted. Communication with any person during the exam through any means, including online, in person, by mobile, or any other devices. Do not communicate with anyone else during the exam. Crowdsource support from group messages, online forums, or social media. Let's say you have an online forum of some sort related to AP Human Geography. If you access that during the test, you are cheating. You may also not incorporate the work or any other person into your response. So you may not let anyone else take the test for you. You may not copy and paste something that someone else wrote. Yes. Okay. All right, so this just kind of goes along with this idea. Yes, the exam is open notes, but there's a strict time limit, and you will run out of time if you try to use many other resources. If you are searching the internet, trying to find the correct response, if you are searching the internet trying to really do a whole lot during the exam, you will run out of time. The questions are designed specifically so you can't just find the answer on a textbook, in a textbook, or online. Therefore, they will not be easy to find. They are not going to be definitions. They're not going to be identifications. And so you will run out of time. Okay, and then once again, this is going over the cheating policy. Do not even think about this type of academic dishonesty, meaning using anyone else. Even if your moral compass isn't strong enough to guide you, you will need to realize that the College Board takes the integrity of the exam very seriously. Statement from the College Board, they have a couple statements about how they're going about making sure that the exam stays fair, and some of the things that they are going to be putting into place for people who are cheating. Okay, how should I prepare? Have a plan, big ideas, quizzing, teach someone, and use the resources we post, and ask lots and lots of questions. So any questions you have, there will be a second video that I will go over the exam logistics. So this is just kind of like, what does the exam look like, and how is it set up? But the exam logistics one, if you are just finishing up this video, you want to make sure that you at some point you pay attention to the second video, because that really is the one about how are you going to do all this. All right, Have a good